Hello, and good evening. My name is Black Hat and welcome to Machine. So today I'm going to continue playing more of the Dark Souls 3. So yeah, let's do that. The last time I kind of missed the area around that church, so we're going to probably do that area. Last time also someone invaded me, but I successfully kind of avoided, so I didn't lost souls. So there's that. But yeah. Also, I need to go back to the what's that? To the Crystal Sage area. I want to get those items above that I didn't got them yet. I think then everything I get all of those items everywhere. I think I'm not sure. Did got all of the items in the swamp, upper and down. Also, I was looking around. Oh yeah, I killed that easy boss. Wait, why I didn't go just continue? There we go. I'm checking some guide where to get those items because I didn't find any. Okay. Already leveled up. Travel. Crystal Sage. Okay. So how did I miss these things there? There we go, one shot. No, nothing is there. Oh, thank you, I didn't have that item yet. Ouch. Oh, another wooden shoot. No, this is not it. Definitely this is not it. Oh, this is not it. Oh, except there. Ah, there we go. Jesus Christ. Finally.
Well, this is unexpected. I don't often have visitors.
Hmm?
What do you want? This is my study that you've happened to. If you haven't any business. How intriguing. You'd better not. And should never be forced. You have your own methods. Sorcery, don't let it bother you. Be on your way. You're unkindled. Oh, well, no. It is either naturally on your way. You're unkindled.
Well, okay then. Okay, just this one. Okay. Nothing special then. I will go back now. Try to reach or at least open a what should I call it? The shortcut to the boss in the church. But yeah. We do go here, right? Yes. That is good. Ah, come on. There we go. No hugs for you, man. Let's do not disturb these guys. Come on. There you go. Grave Warden, okay. What the hell is that? Who is helping me? Probably is that dude. Nice. Okay. Okay, more of this. Nice. Okay, I think I picked up here everything, so let's move on. So here we are. Back to this. Oh no. Oh crap. Ouch. Whoa. Whoa, Nelly. Oh, he actually touched me. Damn it. Damn it. Come on. Come on, in fact, stop. Stop. Thank you. How dare you? Attacking me? Oof. Right. Ooh, fireball. Yes, thank you. Hello. Jesus Christ. Come on, man. Really? Ah. Dude. There we go. Thank you very much. Yeah. Isn't there... Huh, there we go. There's another one. Yeah. Whoops. I'm not sure if... I think it's possible to get there. Jesus Christ. Ouch. Oh, come on, really? There we go. Oh, crap. Hello, come on. Right. Oh crap. Come on, really? Jesus Christ, I wasted so much. Uh-oh. There we go. And the charm, okay. One here. No, not here. Yes, here. Damn. There's always way too much. Ah, there we go. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, yeah. 4 of you? Are you serious? Sure. Jesus Christ, I didn't know that I was going to attack so many of them. Oof. Oh no, you don't. Oh. There we go. Phew. Oh. Nice. Ah, you too? Okay. That was not good. I don't know how I did that. Okay. Here, no. Nothing's here. Enemy ahead. Well, thanks for telling me that. Nah. Hey Pedro Retro, welcome, welcome. How are you doing, man? Welcome, welcome. Oh my god. Oh no. Come on. Nice. Oh. Anime head? Oh, hello. Oh no. Oh no, I didn't know that there's two of them. Oh my god, that was not nice. Ah! Okay, one of them. One of you. Jesus Christ. I told you, just one of you, not all of you. There we go. Next, you. Let's have that great axe, so that would be nice. Oh, yes, backstab. Nice. Great axe? No? I think I already have it, great axe, yeah, right. Not there yet. With the strength. Not there yet. Where? Ember. Okay, that's good. Nothing's here. I think this is not the boss yet. But it kinda is. Damn it. I see your head. Hi. Also someone else here. My memory is flaky. Very flaky. Much easier. Oh, thanks for that, god damn it. Ah, he's coming, okay, come. Come on. Yeah, I'm not there. Nope. Hello. Come on, you evil priests. There we go. I think that is the shortcut. Looks like it. Secret? Nope. Nope. There is no secret here. Should be now in that cathedral. Yes. Yes, indeed it is. Awesome. We'll go back to Farming Shrine, eat some souls, or sell them. I think that is easier. And it how much? 14k for next level?
Welcome home, speak. Very well, then take it.
Actually, no, okay.
Farewell, Ashen One.
Something of that.
Ashen One.
There we go.
Welcome home, speak. Very
Level
well,
up.
take it.
Not there yet with the strength.
Farewell, Ashen One.
Farewell, Ashen One. Okay, let's go back. Cathedral? Oh, to chapel, not cathedral. Chapel. Chapel! Whee! I think the boss is... yeah, okay, that... if I go there, it's going to waken up the boss. What do we have here? I think also this is the way to the boss. Ooh, nice. There we go. Deep gem, okay. I think this is it. Ah, I was hoping for a bit more. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus, can you, like... There we go, you bastard. Hello. No! Ouch. 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 Yeah, we can go up there. I can go also above those arches, if I remember correctly. Nope. Oh, where's that fat lady? Oh, I remember this. This is hard, actually. Is there some sort of mini boss down here? Nice. There we go. Seek guidance. Alrighty then. Nope. I know that is definitely some kind of... I remember, kind of remembering that area there. Okay. Over. Okay, there we go. We can go down there. This is it for here. Yeah, okay. Time to go downstairs. Mimic? Yep. Jesus Christ. That is weird. There we go. Deep Rare of Divine Tome. The mark. I have no clue what is that. That is probably something for, I don't know, for sorcery. Oh boy. Oh, look at that big boy. That is one big boy. Can I go above? Uh-oh. Wait a minute. That is a bit much. Oh yeah, that is a lot much. Are we going up here? Yeah, nice. Give me that. Hi. Can we cheese it? Think we can. I remember this creature, yeah. Hundred so far. There is so many stuff here. Oh, there's a new one. Boost miracles, we don't need that. Boost attack when is good. Boost on, that's the same. Boost attack on cost FP. Big attacks. Okay. Another ember, yay! And that's it. Be very above. Ah, hello. That's something else. I'm not sure. Oh, there's two of them. These are not bosses, I think. Oh, one of those big, damn it. Yeah, is this another shortcut? Oh, you. Yep. One of those stupid creatures. What? Enemy ahead. Okay. Okay, this is like this. Let's go back here. I want to kill that one. This one here. Good. Oh no, I'm no. Oh, now I know where is this. Ah, god damn it. Ah, okay, down here. Okay, at least we do have this now. The shortcuts. Where did this take us? Is it totally above the church? It's not really above, but it is somewhere. Oh yeah, it is here. Which doesn't make much sense since it's kinda useless. When you're here, but... Oh no, it's not this. Okay. Ah, yeah, this is the area above the church. Yeah, okay. Deep ring. Ah, Jesus Christ. Backstab. Nice. Secret? Nope. Now that is something doing. I don't know what. Oh, cool. Oh, hi. Oh boy. Oh boy, yep. We're gonna go there, but not yet. I'm not there, I'm here. There we go. Damn it. There we go. Albert. Okay, I believe him. Okay, this is the thing. A tank. Bye bye. Nope, not here. It's the next one. Quite something ahead. Yeah, I know. Bye bye. Ah, frick it. Jesus Christ, it's fast. He is slow. Let's jump. Damn it. I was hoping for something else, for like Kistos Flask. Ah, the Onion Man. Does this area have something, some kind of sense? You know what? You can come here. Ouch. There we go. You're not so strong now, huh? Because I'm stronger. Okay. Let's move along. This doesn't have much sense. Was that only for that item? I think it's just that, yeah. Hi. Come here. Maybe get triggered by me. Okay, he does react on that. Hey, no, that is not allowed. Oh yeah, nice. I'm totally in corner and I'm falling down. No, not the far one. Okay. Whew. Now I'm in a pickle. God damn it. I don't know what is up there now. God damn it. Definitely won't be able to survive that. Ah, damn it. When you hope that you're going to stagger the enemy, but nope. Ah, right into him. That was pointless. Okay. He likes to throw that. We're in here, right? Yeah, we're in here. Oh boy. This one is kind of a problem. Another one. Awesome. Ooh, okay. Oh, right. That is good. Okay, come here closer, please. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, it was you up there. Okay. Sorry, Friar. Ah, yes, okay. I can go here. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, we ignore this one here. Go here. Awesome. And we call down the elevator. Oof. I thought I'm going to like, I don't know, to do like a lot of going around somewhere to get to this area, thank God. Pa-pa. Nah. You need to go, yeah, here. See, if I would get on the bonfire, then we have a problem. Because it resets all of those monsters there around here. Okay. Finally back here. So clear this area. Safe zone. Well, not yet. Kinda. Maybe. I think this is more like a nothing burger here. So let's go back to the bonfire and sell some of those. Oh, right. Well, hello there. Okay. I I'm just running around here. It feels like that starting area. Is it on that settlement? No, on that settlement. This. Oh, the first zone. That is the tutorial area in the Dark Souls one. And there is the other area, and then you're there. Anyway. I'm just thinking out loud. That reminds me of some area in the Dark Souls 1. You see, that is why you can, like, send your elevator up there, because you might need it. Travel. Oof. Herald roses. Okay.
Welcome. Very then take.
I have enough. Okay. Cool.
Farewell, Ashton.
Farewell. Ooh. Awesome. Do you have any ashes for her? Okay, but I'm going to purchase arrows, obviously.
Ashen 1.
Bye bye. Do you have any shards? I think I don't remember picking any Estus shards. When I now have these weapons. Just none of them except this one is better. Travel, cleansing chapel, there we go. This is perfect, now I can go and kill all of those big monsters. Go up here. Whoop. Oh, not here. No. Nah, we don't need that. So I don't know, is this kind of closes, but he's not the boss. The boss is up there. These are just huge, I don't know, monsters, whatever. Haha, too slow. I have nothing to lose, so... Oh, this is sludge. It's so sludgy. No. think we're actually able to kill them. You need to reason up. Oh, mommy. Ouch. And that is much better. Okay. And he gave you a lot of souls, man. Oh, it's slow, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Nice. Yeah. Think not the place to go. At least not yet. Oh, he dropped something. Ah, okay. We have some items there. Oh. That is why is this here. Oh, hello there. How you doing, man? Ouch. Nay, nay. Ah, I was not in position for the backstep. Oh no, you don't! There we go. Screw you. Are so awesome. So we should have some mechanism on this side too, but where? Oh, not those annoying slimes. Not finding any mechanism here. So yeah, you can go there and you can go up there. Burn, baby, burn. Ah, okay, we can close it all here too. Oh, I think we're getting like the ridges that can go up there. Whoop. I think so, it's a pathway, not ridges, pathway. Is up there the same thing? Maybe? So I need to find also for this area here, but... Okay, sleepy. Nope. Oh, come on, really? There we go. He's triggered. That is good. Whoa! Ho, ho, damn! Okay. He's mad, yo. Come. Would love to join your party, but you know, we have those slimes there, so... yeah, about that. Still someone there behind. Dude. Oh my god, what is that? Something disgusting. Thank you for helping me somehow. Lol. Think he's dead? Yes, he is. In loot is mine to take. Dunk pile. Oh, I think his dunk pile is for something. Trank shoes. Those were weird shoes. Okay, mostly this armor. That is definitely the pathway. You, the disgusting maggot. There should be another. Maybe, maybe not. This lever, man. Lever. Where's the lever? It's not here. It's not that on that side. Maybe it just doesn't exist. Check. Nah, it should be existing. It looks like a perfect pathway. Is the only lever there? I think another one should be here, but it's got broken or whatever. Let's move on, I can think about that later on. There should be somehow some kind of bonfire here. Oh, damn. So we have 1, 2 big ones. Whee! Yeah, that is something. Another shortcut. I think it is. Yeah, this is for these doors. Okay. I had with friend. Yeah, you see, you can go, you can do this. Yeah. To a charm. Okay. So this is like that. Okay, so go up there, go here and down there. Could be the easiest, like it's kind of shortcut, but it's also not. Let's go down. Oh crap! Oh, two of them, two of them. Oh yeah, both of them. Whew. one. I almost killed one. There we go. Oh boy, look at this. Really? Nice. That is good, awesome. Oh, gauntlets. Okay. Oh. Oh yeah, I see that corruption there. It's not here, but then it's up there. Okay, this was kind of weird. Ah, okay, this is like that. Oh boy, this is the boss. Critical foe. Yeah. The Phantom? No clue, man. So I think this is it for here. What's the time? I have enough time. Okay. Can we go back? Level up? Try to find this lever here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Travel, finding shrine. Whew. Sell.
Ashen One. Welcome home, speak. Very then taken.
Ah, god damn it.
Farewell, Ashen One.
It's just that one tiny bit that I need. Souls. There we go.
Ashen One. Welcome home, speak. Very then taken. Let these
Want at least some endurance.
farewell, Ashen One.
Well. Hello.
What a sick. Asking, talking. All good. What are the answer? At the if.
Okay. Travel here. So now I need to really think where I need to go because it's a real labyrinth there. Oh yeah, through, okay. So go here. And you can go here. Right? This one goes down. Go here. Yeah, perfect. But 2 elevators, man. Here you pass all this stuff. There we go. I don't know what boss is this. Oh moly. Uh-oh. We were at a bonfire. Arrowhead? Nah. Ah, so they are rising back, okay. So there must be some kind of trick here. Hi there. So this is not the thing. Ouch. This is like the right boss to go, or it just... Jesus Christ, that was quite a agile one. No, I can't go back. I don't know if this is the thing, but it's probably just like... Well, no tough enemy here, but yeah. Okay, do we need to ride to find one? The right one? I see that a couple of them are having like... Yeah, like... That one there... Could be this one? Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Ah, okay. That is how it's going to be. So it goes from host to host. Ouch. Jesus Christ, can I? It's gonna take a while, but at least I figure it out. Oh no. No, don't get gagged, man. Oh no, they're going to be there, right? Oh Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm going to wait for that effect to calm down. Oh crap. Oh crap, almost died. Oh, got cursed. Ah, okay. Shame, I wasn't able to kill it right away, god damn it. At least now I know what I need to do actually. No, no, no. I need to follow me, dude. No, 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 no. Ouch. Damn it. There we go. Nice. Small doll. Awesome. Woo-wee. Oh. Thank you. In my head, there is nothing here. But what is then the next one in the other way? Oh, so many questions. Hi, me back again. Hi.
Then take
Yeah, just a little bit.
farewell, Ashen.
Just a little bit. No, no, not going to sell you Amber. Live. You nuts?
Ashen one.
Welcome. Very then taken.
Perfect.
Farewell, Ashen One.
I can have this one. How to do it? I forgot. Ah, there we go. I have huge axe, yeah. So how it was only 2 tries. It's not a hard boss, actually. Just need to speedrun it. And my axe. Did. Go down. You need to go that way, I think. No. Where is the lever for this thing? Come on, man. Probably it's downstairs. I'm just so blinded that I didn't see it. Call this up. Cool beans. Stop doing that. Let's spend a lot of energy for wielding this weapon. A lot. Oh, Jesus Christ. Scared the crap out of me. That one is for this one. Or it's probably just on the other side, you just cannot go here. Let's go then on there. Because you should be going up there, but yeah. Come on. I have no soul, so if I die, I die. Huh. Okay. This is it? I thought there was going to be more. Come on, man. And it's a beautiful view, but you know. Ouch. So slow, man. It's just a weapon. Can be fun. Where is a lever for this stupid thing? Come on, man. Let me check what is this cathedral cleansing. What was hitting us? Oh. That's way too close to this side. Is it this one? And shower card is third lever. Oh, thanks. Oh, come on, don't tell me that this. Oh, that is how you get there. Oh. It's on the other side of that. Ah, seriously? Ah, come on, man. Well, I will not able to do that today. I can actually stand some stream for a little bit. Oops. Jesus Christ. Bye, whatever you are. Oof. Need to get to these guys. Oh no, but this. Yeah, no. I need to go downstairs. God damn it. This was pointless to do. So there is, yeah, that ledge. I need to get to that ledge up there. And up there I already cleaned it up, but I didn't know. Oh, well, I guess we're going to do that again. Try with this new weapon. Well, new, not new exactly. Hey, Shikaka. Hey. Welcome from Atomic Land. How you doing, man? Say hi to GF, and yeah. I already beat one boss today. I mean, it's what that was kind of easy. Died only once, so there you go. 0 deaths, almost. Now I'm just looking for something so I can go over over the thing. I have the small door, so I have that to go into the Polaris later on. What? Oh, damn it. Ooh, backstab. I can't see, goddammit. How does a backstab with the axe? This huge axe. Boop. Yeah, I need to go to that latch. Oh, not both of you, just one. Ouch. Can't see. Don't know where to go. Ouch. Yeah, I can stay down there. You know what? For this, I'm going to go to the old weapons. Yeah, hard boss. No. Oh crap. Damn it, damn it. Ah. You bastard. Can we be nice? There we go. Woo! There, yeah. Now we have another shortcut, let's say. Try luring out. Who? Oh damn. Oh hello. Stop barfing on me. Great, I missed that. Perfect. Jesus Christ, how many lizards are here? Many lizards. Swear I had no treasure head. Ready? Ah, damn it. This could be a boss, right? Is this really a boss? No, it's not. Hey. What's something that? Oh damn, okay. Finger? Yeah, no chest here. Ah, this is for Covenant, okay. Yeah, no need that. So we explored here like everything. Okay. Cleared area. I'm happy about that. Okay. Oh, there is a bonfire for this. Ah. My bad. Think we killed the monster here? That it doesn't won't away again? Yeah, okay. Oh, now they in the church. That's going to be next boss. Or actually two bosses, I don't know. I think this looks good. Bonfire. There we go, perfect. Just going to explore here a little bit, not by much. Just a little bit. Nice. Oh, hello, hi. Now these are like very similar to Dancer. Hey, dancer. Oh, there's the dancer that I need to fight. Hi. Jesus Christ! No, 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 no. Oh, Pontiff, right. I have a shield, okay. Hello there! Oh, come on, man. There. Oh, perfect. Nice. Oh my god, try a finger on my freaking A. Oh, the internet shouldn't be existing. But otherwise we wouldn't have awesome streams like mine. Awesome. Oh no, this is a problem here because that mob there is like, you know, sniping you from far away. Oh boy. Yep. Oh, it's curvy, huh? Oh, okay, that's what is test. Ouch. Okay. Yeah, congrats. Oh my god, nope. You're cheating, man! Ow! That's not fair. Ah! Jesus Christ! They're like wall hackers, man. Of course, of course. Hey, you wall hack! Stop doing that. Well, of course. Is Stunk lock you, eh? Nope, you're not doing that. Whoa, 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 Nelly. Oh, bastards. Damn. No! Bastards up there. Shit. No. Oh. It's this hard area. Oops. Oh, I'm making mad. Yep, he's mad. Hey, you guys, you can attack me here. Yeah, you're right, yeah, here. Ouch. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to survive this today. Oh, hello. Don't have... You know what, I'm going to finish it up for today. I already yeah, kinda extended, but... At least now I opened this area, killed one boss, cleared the church area. I think that's about... and came here and yeah, do this. Yeah. Oh, hello. Okay, this is it for me, people. Thank you for everyone for being here. We appreciate it. So yeah, the next stream is going to be on Monday. Playing more of this game. So yeah. Mondays I actually have some vacation, so yeah, I'm going to do some stuff at my home. Just playing some other games. So yeah, as I said on Monday, thank you Chicago for being here, and thank you Pedro Reto, thank you very much. Yeah, on Monday. Otherwise, I wish you a nice Friday, nice weekend, and have fun. Bye bye!